What we'll be talking about today is self-service. How do we help our customers help themselves, right? Nice cliche. But my goal is to first kind of define what self-service is in the most roundabout way possible, why we need it, why it's useful for you and your customers, and then also go through the tools that Zoho is going to be able to offer for you to implement this for yourselves. There are a couple of customer success stories that I'll throw in there just so that we recognize like this is a reality. Large customers do this stuff as well. And then if we have time, I also want to talk about just a little bit about Zoho Desk for those who don't know what it is at all. And that's if we've got time at the end. Of course, I'll leave some time for Q&A. So first, the question, what is self-service? Rather than just giving a definition, I'd actually like to give a personal story. So nobody laughed, but this is my backyard. So I bought a house in January. Very, very proud. Don't worry, the tree is alive. I went and I cut it, and it was still green. And they're like, "Go water it." So I did, and now it's thriving. It's great. I pulled the weeds, and that's a lot better. But why am I showing you this? Because I bought the house in January, and if any of y'all have purchased a new build, then you know about you do the blue tape walkthrough, right? So you walk and they give you a roll of tape, and you put a piece of blue tape on anything in the home that's messed up, that's broken, or that needs painting or whatever, mainly cosmetic stuff. And so I walked through the house, we're doing the blue tape. At the same time, they have an iPad and you're signing 10,000 documents. And I want to make sure that I'm not, getting screwed over. So I'm trying to read through all of it while the builder is talking to me about all the different warranties. And if you change this thing, the warranty's voided and all of this different stuff. And hey, don't forget that you have this really cool feature in the house. It's new. And I'm like, all right, I don't care. But but the one thing that he told me, and he's like, make the mental note, you need to call the sod people, the people that are going to lay the grass, 2 days before they come out with the sod and pay the invoice for the extra grass. Because the thing is, we as the builder, we only pay for 15 feet of sod from the back of the house. And so now I have people come over to my house, they point, they laugh, they say, shame, you have an ugly backyard, and I just have to live with it. But here's the issue. I did what every normal person would do. And first, like a bozo, I called the sod company to see if there's something they could do. And they're like, dude, no, that's like our only rule. I was like, okay. And then I went on Google and I looked and I said, okay, where are all of the sod places near me within a 20-mile radius? And I went to all of them and I got form after form after form. And it was super brutal and I hated it. Why? Because there's an issue, right? I work 8 to 5, obviously sometimes later, never less than 5 o'clock do I leave the office, except like most days. But, I get off work later. I get home, play with the kids, eat dinner. It's like 6:37 before I'm able to call one of these companies. So I know, okay, if I call them, I'm not going to get them. The third person I called them on a Saturday. They answered, but the sales guy was out because he works Monday through Friday. So like, fill out the form. Okay, well, with all of these forms, I filled them out, and I'm sure they have a CRM. Maybe they have a ticketing tool, but I never got a call back. I never got an email. And to be fair, it might not be that they didn't reach out to me. It could possibly just be that they sent the email and it went to spam and I never saw it. Or they called me, and like most people, the call went immediately to voicemail because I don't want calls from unknown numbers. And so here's my big issue. I did not have a user-empowered approach to support. So it was basically a lot of suffering, a lot of different questions, and I have a million questions. First of which is, what is sod? Everybody's throwing around that word like I'm supposed to know what it is, but I'm a new homeowner. I have no idea what I'm doing, right? And I've got a million other things in the house that I'm trying to set up with the water softener and all the things, and I've got a million questions. It would be great if I could just go to your website, find all of the info I need, maybe hit a chat bot, maybe even call you if I need to and actually get an answer. But the reality is that 81% of people seek self-resolution before they ever reach out to you. They want to be able to solve their own problems. They don't want to have to call you. And this is becoming increasingly so in our society today because we have everything on demand, right? I mean, and this is true for you as well. How often have you sat through the 3-minute ads on YouTube? Never. Sometimes I'm so annoyed, I'm just clicking the skip ad button, hoping that until it pops up before it's even available. Because I'm just like, no, I just want the thing. I just want to watch the YouTube video, right? There's a reason that Blockbuster and Hollywood Video went out of business. When it's a Friday and I get off of work and it's been a long week, I don't want to have to get in my car with my family, drive over to Hollywood Video, talk to somebody about the different genres that I'm into and what was my favorite last movie that I watched and all the things, get a recommendation only to go home, pop the movie in and it sucks. Like I don't want to do that. I just want to be able to hop on Netflix, look at the recommendations, choose myself, and too easy, right? And we all do the exact same thing. But, and this is coming from Harvard Business, will actually expect self-service. So 8 out of 10 people will actually use it if it's available. 9 out of 10 people are expecting it to be there, right? So this is really important for our businesses today because our customers are expecting to not have to talk to us. Right now, some of you have unique businesses. I definitely understand, and we'll talk about a couple of use cases like that. But even then, still, I mean, 9 times out of 10, we could provide that self-service for them, no problem. All right, so here are a couple of things, right? So first, we take a second with this personal story, right? We can all relate to times where we have suffered from a lack of self-support, right? It's kind of miserable, but that's on the customer experience side. When it comes to y'all as the users, you guys have support teams with the exact same pain points. We all have them, right? The support team is too small, is generally the first one, right? We have a ton of tickets coming in. Let's say we get 100 tickets per day. If our support team is 5 people, then that's 20 tickets per person, if my math checks out, which it might not. Uh, but that's 20 tickets per person. That's a lot, right? We don't have a large enough team to manage that, and we could say, well, just add 5 more people, but that costs money, time, training, so that's not always a possibility. Then also, even if we do have 10 people and it's 10 tickets per person per day, that's still a lot of tickets. So we increase the number because we can to 15, 20 people. Okay, that's fine until you have a large influx one day. Or you have some days where there's not enough tickets, right? And so now we have too large of a team where we're paying people to sit there. It's like this is an ever-revolving door of issues and problems and suffering, right? And on top of that, you have a ton of repetitive requests, right? How many times, if you think of sales, what are the questions that we always need to know? Name, number, email, right? If I could just give them a bot, they enter that, and now it's kind of like a form. Right, I save that. Forms kind of provide that solution. But when it comes to support, have any of y'all used Zoho support, submitted a ticket, right? What is the first thing we ask, right? Or come through a call, live chat, we need your org ID, we need your customer ID, we need a screenshot, right? And so if we can set up some type of bot to handle that, no more repetitive requests, right? Bot or a couple of other issues. But here's the thing, self-service is actually practical for you. And you can implement this, and it's going to solve a million problems. So you can think of it this way. If you think of like a mechanic shop, and you know the ones where you pull up and it looks kind of janky, and they're like 17 cars out, but you know this guy's going to change your oil for $10, so it's cool, right? But it's like, there are a million cars there. This guy is constantly changing oil. So when somebody comes in and they're like, my catalytic converter was stolen, he doesn't have the time to dedicate to that. He says, listen, I'm going to order it. It's going to take 7 to 10 days for the part to get here, and then it's going to take another 3 days for me to actually get it in there because I have all these oil changes, right? Or changing your battery. Now, if he had a little self-service section with all the instructions and all the batteries, and you just scan the thing, pay for it, and you can change your own car battery with all the instructions and a little bit of supervision, all of a sudden, when you have a real issue, like, I don't know, my engine just fell out of my car, he can solve that problem for you, right? And so now there aren't as many cars coming into the mechanic shop because they're all right to the self-service side, which means with a smaller ticket volume, we now have a faster response time. Because when you come in with the catalytic converter issue, I mean, parts take time to get there, but as soon as it gets there, he has the time to dedicate to your particular vehicle with the serious requests. Now, it's not that a forgotten password is not a serious request. It is, and it can be extremely serious. However, if that's something that you could do yourself with the click of the button at the bottom of the login screen, why would we not want to do that, right? With this minimized response time, it's also going to boost your customers' faith in you. They now trust you a lot more. Right. And why is that? Because one, when you have just a general question, I just need to get it answered. They don't have to call you. They don't have to wait for a queue. There's no call tree. They can just go to your website or something. Right. Ask the question, get the answer, and now they're off to the races. You're the person that is now explained to them what sod is. It's just grass, right? But you're the person that gave them that answer. And so they trust you a lot more. And then when they do have a serious issue, they're more likely to come to you, and they're more likely to be in a good mood when they get there. And now all of us have had support issues or a customer support issue where they're miffed. They are angry. There's nothing you can say. It's just a terrible experience, right? When your customers are happy with you, your agents are going to be a lot less stressed, right? It makes life better, which is going to increase their productivity. Why? Because none of us like being yelled at, and it happens. Maybe we slip up, the agent slips up, something happened with the customer, but they need that quick support. If those tiny issues can be taken care of on their own, they can do that themselves, then you can focus on the large issues, which your agents are now going to feel like they're making more of an impact because it's not a bunch of forgotten passwords. Now it's a lot more of, hey, my engine isn't, in my car anymore. So that said, how is Zoho going to be able to provide a solution for you? Well, first we have a help center, right? So you can create an entire website, and we'll show that off here in a moment, with a bunch of articles, right? So you have knowledge, your industry backwards and forwards, your company. So you're going to be able to take all of that knowledge and put it kind of in a textbook and provide that to the customer. Right, so that's one thing. And then, of course, your customers have knowledge as well, especially the customers who have been with you for a while. They have a lot of positive experiences that they can relay to your other customers. So why not build a community where we can all share the ideas, ask my question and get it answered by another one of your customers, right? So that's what our help center will do. And then we also have a couple of chats. Now, live chats, especially if we have too small of a team, it's not going to happen. Right. And it's, of course, and a lot of customers, they don't want to have to sit for a live chat because what generally happens is you hop on the live chat, you ask your question, the agent has to go and find the answer. It takes a lot longer. It's like working on a ticket, except, there's a little bit of added pressure because I know the other person's waiting on my response. So forget about live chats for a minute. We also have a couple of different chat bots that you can utilize. One that's just going to take all of the knowledge that you have and start spitting out answers. Another one that is more for you to implement, literally a guided conversation where we can, I don't know, solve IT issues, where we can gather all of the information that we need when we talk to customers, so on and so forth. And now you may be thinking, Josh, I don't want a help center. I don't want a separate website. I want my customers to come to where they normally would to get service from me and get help ASAP. That's great because we have an ASAP widget so that your customers can get help as soon as possible. Just based on time, if we have enough, I'll go more into the user experience. If we do, then if we do have enough time, we'll go into the user experience. For now, we'll just stick with the customer experience. That said, here's a QR code. If y'all want to go ahead and scan it, and I'll scan it too, just to keep track with you. This is going to take you to a little help desk that I built out. So not as great as Zoho's entire help desk, but that's totally okay. Here's the thing that the help center is going to do for you, the help desk, right? Like I mentioned, first, you have that wealth of knowledge. We have that textbook. I don't want to be able to provide that to my customers. However, textbooks are super lame. That's why none of us are in school anymore, because it's awful. So we want to be able to give our customers the experience of having a textbook, but not having to read the whole thing. I just want to be able to go and, Command F, but across a bunch of different articles. That's what the knowledge base is going to do for you. Second, you'll have that community that I was talking about. So you'll have a place where your customers can pose questions, ideas, things like that, and then you can easily get a response from your other customers. Right now, you'll also be able to submit tickets, and like I mentioned, we'll talk about that a little bit later. But here's the really important part. Zoho runs on Zoho. So if you went to help.zoho.com right now, you would see our help desk, and it's massive, right? And we have a bunch of different departments within the company. You can submit a bunch of different tickets, a bunch of different ways. And in fact, we have, our community base, it's like there are 10,000 requests like per day or something. Like there's a million questions in there. So you can learn quite a bit by being inside of Zoho's help desk. Let me go ahead and show this off. If you scanned the QR code, let me say, if you didn't get it, it's right there. If you want to scan it real quick, I think everybody did. So I'm going to move on. So like I was talking about with my sod example in my terrible backyard, this is the sod company, right? Fake company that I built. And this is what your help desk is going to look like. Now notice, you can have this in the browser. You can have it on your phone. It's easily accessible through the internet. But a couple of things here. So first, notice that I have my branding on there. I have the sod company. I threw my logo in there, the name. I don't know if you can tell from the screen here, but there's a couple of guys mowing in the background with the green overlay. This is really easy. I am by no means an artist. I have no artistic bone in my body, but I think this looks pretty good, right? It's halfway decent. So if I can do that, of course you can as well. But notice right up top, you'll have a little My Area section. So when your customers do need to raise tickets, they have a section to log in and see the stuff that they've requested previously, right? You'll see the knowledge base right at the top. So they can click into that. They can navigate through all of the different articles written. And then we'll also have the community where customers can actually talk and discuss amongst themselves. And you can have a sign-in option, right, or a sign up. So customers can come here, sign up, have their own little profile where they can maneuver, or you can just kind of keep this lightweight where it's just articles, right? So you have quite a bit of options on how we're going to customize this page. That said, notice right here, there's one section that says sod and one little box that says seed. Okay, so these are actually two completely different departments. So as your company grows, the one thing I want us to notice is that this is scalable. Or right now, if you have a bunch of different departments, you can implement all of those here, right? So now when your customers come in and they're saying, okay, well, my backyard looks terrible. I need more sod. I can just go straight to the sod section. I can add different sections within a department, so that's really great. So I can have a new to sod, and then right under that, an advanced sod information, and so on, so on. So your customers can easily navigate. And then I can click right inside all of these actual articles. So there's one way to navigate, and that's great. But one of the most helpful things, like I said, we want this textbook to be searchable. So I can come in and just simply ask the question, what is sod? And it's going to pull up all of the different options for me. In fact, if I just type in sod, it'll automatically start pulling up suggestions. Right. So now I'm not as stressed as a customer. I'm immediately given confidence because you have an entire help center built out. And then when I go, I just start typing in keywords and it's like, oh, great. They have like 7 articles on this. Right. So I can hop in, find my answer. And there we go. There's an entire article. And notice you have a lot of great things in here. One is the top navigation. Right. So I can actually come and say, all right, well, what is sod? Here's a good example or an explanation. Sod is the upper layer of the soil that's bound together, whatever. It's grass, right? Great. Okay. But now, uses and installation. Yeah, that's really interesting. Or what about a maintenance schedule? I can have all of these kind of separated by little headers, very, very easy to build out. And now customers can actually not just find that bare information, but if you notice the URL, it will actually take each section. So then if a customer does ever reach out to you and you have a little section of one of your really long articles that you just want to send them, when I send them this URL, it'll take them right to that section so they can get to reading the most important stuff that they need, right? So it's faster resolution times for you as well. And then of course, because all of our articles are always amazing and helpful, people can give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. They can see when this was posted or most recently updated, so they can make sure that they have the most up-to-date information. And then over on the right, you'll also see related articles and then all of the other articles within this section, right? So you already have all of the information posted. I now understand as a new homeowner who needs to fix his backyard, this is what sod is. That's great. Now what I need to know is how to plant it because I need to go buy more sod. I need to lay it in the rest of my backyard. So right in the related section, there's just in another article that gets me right to the next step. So we're providing even more information than the customer was expecting when they first got here. And notice the top nav, it actually gets even more in depth, right? So if you have, steps 1 through 7, you can throw that in there. And then again, customers can just click here and I can tag that step 3, measure and order sod, right? Get the square footage that you need. Right, so again, these knowledge-based articles, it's the textbook. It's all the information that you have from your years of experience in your business that I just want to provide to my customers and let them pick my brain like a filing system. Now, you also have the community that I keep talking about. And here's a really good example, right? There's a video that I saw a while back. Some of y'all have probably seen it. It's one of those like YouTube shorts or whatever. And it's this plumber and he's working on a new build, a new house they're building. And the builder comes up to him and says, hey, Joe, how long have you been doing this? Like 37 years or something crazy like that. And he's like, okay, so do you prefer old-fashioned water heaters or new tankless water heaters? And the guy just starts spitting out facts. And it's like, okay, well, if you're going with the old water heater, then that's fine, but you need to make sure that you have XYZ. If you go with the tankless water heater, you need the water softener system and all of this different stuff. And then he mentions something or other about electricity, but that's not his area of expertise. You guys are plumbers, right? You guys have all of this information in your years of experience in the field. However, sometimes you don't have the information about the electricity that you're going to need to answer this customer's question. And that's where your community comes into play, right? Because I have other customers that have been using my services that I provided product for years who also know a little bit about stuff themselves. So I provide my customers the ability to come in and ask questions. And you can see here, Brett Rett 78. Obviously, this is a random person. This is one of my customers. They come in and they just want to know, hey, what grass is going to work for me in Central Texas? Right? That's one of the most important things. I just need to know, I live in Central Texas, what grass is, I want to make sure it doesn't die during the summer or whatever it might be. So he can post out a great long question. Here's the deal. Before your customers respond, you also have the ability to come in and respond here as well. So Carl Fullman, he's one of my employees. He likes to monitor the community. He's responding for us, and that's great. So in case somebody ever says something crazy, you can delete things. You can monitor the community, of course. But this is great because I can come in with my expertise and say, Brett, I'm so glad you asked. This is what I would recommend based on my experience. However, I live in Louisiana or I live in North Carolina. So this is based on what I have sold previously and what I've heard from customers. However, Henry Lomer over here, he's been living in Austin for years. He knows Central Texas like the back of his hand. He's had St. Augustine, Bermuda, all of the different sod types. He's tried them all over 20 years, so he has a lot of information as well. And by the way, you have to water in the summer this much, but don't overwater, and it's not dead, it's dormant, and so on and so forth. That's all coming from another one of my customers. Right. So now they're able to communicate and share the wealth of knowledge that they have concerning our business and some of the stuff that we may just not know. Right. So those are the first two things that our help desk is going to provide for us. Now, of course, you can see right here, if I need to add another ticket, I want to create a new community topic, a new question or idea or something along those lines. It's very easy. It's a click of the button. So first things first, how does Zoho help with the Help Center? When it comes to self-service, we're giving that wealth of knowledge that you have to the customer so that they can get all of this stuff themselves. They don't have to wait on you to provide them with the information, right? So you can share your expertise in that little textbook, the searchable textbook, and then allow your customers to collaborate between one another. So they're not dependent on you 24/7 to provide the information. They can trust that it's there. And you might even be thinking, okay, well, why not, how does this help in the world of AI and things like that? Because ChatGPT, they can just go to Grok and ask all of their questions there. And that's great. But if you notice, any of those AI tools are actually going to link the articles that they found the information from. So even if you're thinking, yeah, but they can find that from AI, right, but what if the link on that article from Grok or ChatGPT or whatever else is actually to your website, right? So this is going to be helpful to actually bring in new business later on, potentially. Now, that's option number one. The other thing that we'll be able to do is provide different types of chats, like I had mentioned. So live chats are not always going to work. Sometimes we need things like chat bots, right? One of those is guided conversations. The idea with guided conversations is you've had the same conversation with your customers 17,000 times. It's the same thing every time there's a new customer query. Like I mentioned before, I need your org ID. I need a screenshot. How long has this been going on? Can you send me the record ID? Right? Those are common Zoho-esque questions whenever you come through support. So what if I just implement a guided conversation to get all of that out of the way? Right? So then if there is a serious issue, I can provide a resolution through the guided conversation, and we'll see an example of that here in a second. But even if it's not that, even if we're just trying to gather information, that's great. I can still do so with these guided conversations. I think they're aptly named. Right now, you'll also have the answer bot. Now, the answer bot's a little bit different because the goal with the answer bot is literally just to give answers. Right? We're a very simple company. The answer bot is going to take all of those knowledge-based articles that you've built, all of the FAQs, and it's just going to put it into a chat bot so that when somebody comes and says, "What is SOD?" it's going to go to your article on SOD and pull the most likely answer and link to the article that you've already provided for them. Right now, I do want to give an example, real world example. NAF. This is a customer who worked with Zoho, and we've been able to help them with some self-service stuff. So when they got to Zoho, first of all, they're a nonprofit company. They're helping students, right? So they'll connect with local businesses, they'll connect with colleges, make all of these connections to help high school students get to where they're going, right? Whether that's some just job in high school or get them to college or whatever else it might be. They're working with over 300 schools, over 120,000 students. And that's insane because we know students ask the craziest questions, which they're supposed to, right? They're learning, but you're going to get a lot of off-the-wall questions if you're if you're a support team with a bunch of students, right? And so they had a couple of issues, and this Zoho Desk is going to help regardless on a couple of these, right? So they had a single email channel. Every single request that came in was going to the exact same email inbox. And that's tough, right? Because they have multiple departments, they have 300 schools, they have multiple regions. That's miserable because they're trying to navigate through all of the emails. We've all been there, right? I try and find an old email in my inbox and it's nearly impossible even with the search function. right? So that's miserable. There's no way that that's possible. And then, of course, like one of the most common issues, they have a very small support staff. So even if they had all of this other stuff, there's no way to handle the volume of tickets that's actually coming in. So what they were able to do is first Zoho Desk just provided a a way to separate those departments, kind of like we saw in the knowledge base. You had the sod department and then the seed department, right? I figured out the sod stuff. Now I want to throw some seed, whatever. Okay, so we have two different departments, right? With them, they had several, and Zoho Desk was, of course, able to accommodate that. And then we were able to do something so that we could kind of lessen the load for them. We were able to utilize guided conversations, and they were able to implement that within a week. Right, and I wanna emphasize that because a week is not a long time, and this is a massive company, 40 years old, with as many requests as you could imagine, right? And they were able to implement that within a week and get off the ground running. Alright, so it's actually a very, very simple system. I want y'all to be able to play with a guided conversation. So if you wanna scan this, and I'll tell you, I cheated. I used one of the templates just from Zoho Desk because, I think it was a really good example about an IT department, right? So, and this is great because it also kind of helps us understand this doesn't have to be for customers. This can be internal as well. So whenever I, as a employee, as an individual, am having issues, I can use things like this for my own guided resolution. So I don't have to bug our IT guy Eric. He's tired of talking to me, anyways. So if everybody was able to get that, so here's our guided conversation, right? And a very simple example. I wake up, I'm about to start work, my laptop's not turning on, right? So I hop on my phone, I go to the guided conversation wherever it's embedded, and I say, "Hey, IT people, I'm having a hardware issue." Okay, and the IT people are like, "All right, sounds good. What's the issue?" Well, first thing is my computer's not turning on. What should I do? No problem. We already have a solution. Did you try plugging it in? Thanks, IT guy. I did not try that. Right. And then, okay, so did that resolve it? Yeah. Do you have any other questions? Yes, no. Okay. Well, if I say yes, what's nice is I can actually reroute these to go right back to the top. So I said yes, and now it's right back to how can I help you today? Okay. So now the laptop is on. I plugged it in because the IT guy was right. He's always right. It's always something, it's always my fault. And so, okay, now my device is overheating. What should I do? Right. So click of a button, and now it's providing the resolution. And we can do this over and over and over again until I finally get to the point where I break my own laptop so I can get the new and updated version or whatever. Right. So that's an example of doing this internally. But now think of that externally, right? Think about any type of troubleshooting you may ever need to do with support. You can have a guided conversation to walk through this. Why? Because we know how the conversation is going to go. We know exactly what happens every single time. Hey, my workflow rule isn't working inside of the CRM. Right. Okay. Well, is it turned on? Right. Okay. Can you send me a screenshot? Okay. Like those are things that we can go through every single time. The customer can just manage it themselves with your guided conversation. Right. And now it looks a bit scary when you first think about it because it's like, okay, but I have to code this stuff, right? Not at all. Not at all. This is all a nice drag and drop builder. Now, you may be looking at this and thinking, Josh, there is no way. That thing is massive. I'm not going to mess with that. I don't care if it takes, of course, it took a week, man. This is insane. Okay, well, take a second and think, can we do this one time? Can you have at least one line of questions and answers implemented? Because if you can do that at least one time, you can copy and paste all of this and just change the names of the boxes, change the little options in there. And that's really, really simple, right? So like I mentioned with NAF, which is a massive company getting, I don't know how many requests per day, they're able to implement this in a week. You can by next Thursday have something up and running, which is pretty sufficient. And then as time goes on, there's going to be something, well, I don't like the answer to that, or I want to route it to a different section, right? I want to play with this, but I want to make sure that I don't accidentally kill the old version that I have. No problem. We have versioning in here, right? So you can come in, create the new version. The old one is saved. So if you ever need to revert back, it's very easy to do so, right? So boom, view, restore. Yeah, why not? All right. And so now all I need to do is come into one of these little sections. Let's say this one here, and just copy that section. Copy this whole thing. And now I want to go in and let's just add a new section. We'll call it, you ready? New section. Very creative. And that entire path that I just copied is now sitting there in a clipboard, right? So this is very easy. Now, back to the NAF thought. I kept thinking about it, and it's like, students asking crazy off the wall questions is very common. So sometimes there will be a question that the customer has that we don't already have an answer to because it's not generally part of the every conversation that we have, right? That's where we have all of these different options that you can throw in there. So if we're asking them questions, we need to know a little bit more about them. We need them to send an image, an audio. We can request that in here as well. But here's some of the fun stuff, right? And I won't talk too much about it because we have somebody talking about AI later. But Zia, which is Zoho's AI, we can actually take Zia, and it's the same thing as ChatGPT or Grok or whatever else. You can take that and throw that in as a block so that when the customer finally gets to this new section and they have this off the wall question, we provide them the opportunity to do that. But now we're going and scouring the internet for the question. What type of sod is best if I live in, halfway across the world? And yeah, I don't know, Egypt, I don't know, a different country, right? What about then? It's like, well, I don't know. I've never been to Egypt. I don't sell grass in Egypt, but Zia knows, right? Zia can scour the internet and find out that information for you, right? And then, of course, notice that there are a bunch of integrations here. So if we're gathering questions and going to create a ticket for the customer, push this information to the CRM, send it to myself in Click. If y'all aren't using Click, it's a really, really great tool. So you have all of those options in here as well. So guided conversations, very, very easy to build. Don't be scared, very easy. And we have, like I said, we have a bunch of templates in there already. So we may have one that almost fits your use case exactly. Now you just need to rename some boxes. Now, I haven't shown the answer bot. I will show that in a second. But I do want to mention that these chats can be implemented into your Facebook Messenger, into Instagram, into WeChat, right? You have the ability to plug this into your social media tools. Right, so it's not difficult. So now somebody reaches out to you from your Facebook Marketplace or whatever it might be, and you're getting all of that information to them as well. And just to reiterate, the difference between the answer bot and the guided conversation is that the guided conversation, again, it's kind of a templatized conversation. I want to walk through this with my customer. I know how this conversation is going to go, so why not go ahead and have it with them without me having to talk to them? At the same time, sometimes they want to pick your brain without having to talk to you, right? I want that on-demand service. I don't want to have to go to Hollywood Video or Blockbuster. I just want to ask you the question and you give me the recommendation for the movie. AnswerBot is going to be allowed to do that. As long as you're writing those articles in there, then it has a lot of material to pull from and can answer those questions, right? So remember the Help Center? It's your wealth of knowledge shared to your customer. The chats are now customer communication 24/7. They're never left without somebody to talk to. At least it feels that way, right? And so with your answer bot, they're leveraging your knowledge without having to talk to you. And then with the guided conversations, there's no more repetition. We're not dealing with the smaller requests. And when I say smaller, I mean something that can be handled by the customer themselves. We're now dealing with the big stuff where there's no way the customer is going to be able to do that. I have to help them in that situation. Right now, the last thing that I want to mention, at least on the customer service side, is the ASAP widget. Because again, we're thinking, Josh, I don't want an entire help desk. I don't want all of this stuff. I just want to take all of these things and embed it into my website. Absolutely, we got you covered. We can do that. So your textbook knowledge base, your community of friends, all the tickets that are raised, and then we throw Ask Zia in there because it's like a catch-all term for any type of automation we have. We just call it Zia. But those are our chats as well, right? And we're going to be able to throw that into our website, just like this company, 5Payza. Okay, now 5Payza is a company, Indian-based, and they're doing finance stuff. And this is, I don't know, it's scary to me. I don't do finance stuff. I have no idea what's going on. But they do broker offerings, investing, so on and so forth. And they have nearly 3 million customers, right? And they have a mobile app with a third of their customer base using it. That's a lot of people. And you can imagine if you're the support team for a bunch of students, they ask a bunch of silly questions, that's great. If you're a support team for a finance company, that's terrifying. Because when you're starting to talk about people's money, man, they get angry. I get angry at least. All right. And so they had 5,000 tickets per day, which is just a ton, right? 5,000 tickets per day. And these customers, like I'm saying, they're expecting to have that top level support because we're talking about their money. I'm trusting you with it. I need the support when I need it, not tomorrow, not within 8 hours. I need it now, right? The other thing is that their mobile app, they can't have customers leaving the mobile app in order to find the solution that they need. So they need a way to throw this directly into their platform, and that's what the ASAP widget does, right? So they now have all of the self-service tools. They have the knowledge-based community tickets. They have all of that there along with the chats, but now it's actually just within their mobile app. All right, so I have the widget you can check out. This goes to my sod company website, different from the help desk, and I'll leave that up for a minute. So here's my website. Nice and ugly, nice and simple. I use Zoho sites and then like didn't change a thing except the photos, right? Very, very simple. But here's the thing that we want to recognize is right down here at the bottom, there's the little widget, right? And so if I can zoom in a little bit, yeah, there we go. So here's your little chat bot or your little ASAP widget that's on your website, on your mobile device. You can find it on the iPad. If you guys are looking at it in your phone, right, it looks great. Very, very simple. So there's your knowledge base right at the top. So I'm coming in, I'm saying, all right, I need sod. Great. Recommendation right there. It opens up a little bit, and now we can see the entire knowledge base article. And you can still come in, like the article inside of this little thing here. There we go. Like the article, see related articles, right? That's too easy. Sorry, I zoomed in and now it's ruining everything. Okay, submit a ticket. There's your community. There's your guided conversation. And here's the answer bot that I was talking about, right? And the answer bot is actually great because now it comes to what is sod? Takes a second to think, and then it's going to give us the exact answer that we need. Upper layer of the soil with the XYZ and the roots and whatever, right? And then it links that article. And so now all of this, back to it, I can click right in here and actually see the same exact article. So all of this is just embedded right into your tool, right into your app. They can raise their tickets, see their old tickets, whatever you need. All of that is saved right here. So at the end of the day, the help center with the wealth of knowledge, the 24/7 customer communication, all of that provides an on-demand resolution when you have the ASAP widget embedded into your tool.